All right, before I bring Philly 500 up here, this guy's been barking. And he's been barking about Bijan Robinson. And I'll tell you something. I brought this up yesterday, and he was one of the very first guys to bring it up. I said, screw that. Never happened. Not, and by the way, I'm before I get his answer, I don't think he thinks how he's going to do it too. But as I told you, according to the NFL, this guy's either the third or fifth best player in the draft. Third or fifth best player in the draft. And you're sitting at 10. That's a quality pick. Bijan Robinson, does he help your team more than Devon Witherspoon? Let's bring up our friend here, Philly 500.
Yo.
You've been barking time. Why'd you like this kid right out of the gate?
Well, I mean, like you said, he's a top 3 talent in this, top 3 to 5 talent in this entire draft, right? And what is the draft about? It's about drafting talent. You're trying to find the best talent for your team. And I look at the Philadelphia Eagles, and I look at, all the players that they could possibly draft. And he's the one guy that I could say, you put him in this team right now next year, he makes your offense better, right? Which in turns helps you to kind of retool your defense over the next few years. It helps Jalen Hurts. And I don't see very many players that can kind of come in right away and give you what he's going to give you, an actual upgrade in the position. Look, I love Jalen Carter, and I would take Jalen Carter over Bijan Robinson. But is Jalen Carter to come in and have 11 sacks like Javon Hargrave in his rookie year? He's not. He's going to take time to adapt and adjust to the NFL. So what do you do in, between years 2, 3, 4 for these guys? While you're going into Hurts's huge contract years, what do you do to be better next year? How do you improve your team next year? And Bijan Robinson's the answer. He immediately improves your offense.
I would say this to you too, Philly. Do we agree the Eagles are now an offensive-minded football team? Until we find out what Sean Desai is, we don't even know what type of scheme he's going to play. So this is an offensive football team, right? And if you're going to invest $50 million in a guy, you better keep putting as many quality pieces around this guy, because you want to lower that. You don't want Jalen Hurts trending towards 200 carries. You want a guy behind you that's going to take some of that water and carry it for the kid. So to me, he makes the immediate impact. Now, the question would come down to this. Do you think Howie would move down to take the kid? Or do you think that they would even ever entertain drafting a running back in the first round?
You know what? Most likely, he probably would not entertain it, right? That's what everybody says. He wouldn't entertain it. The only reason I think there may be a slight chance that it could happen is for 2 reasons. One, Howie has talked a lot about going against the grain, finding value in what everybody else doesn't do, right? And in today's NFL, the thought of running backs is that running backs aren't worth first-round picks. They're not worth second contracts. They're a devalued position. So in that, he might find value. And then the other reason is because if you draft Bijan Robinson and he's as good as we think he could be, you're looking at a guy who will be under a rookie contract for 4 years, right? You're going to have to resign A.J. Brown. You're going to have to deal with Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, that offensive line, Jalen Hurts' contract. I mean, this guy's going to be making nothing for 4 years. And I think those would be the only 2 reasons I think he would do it. But I still don't think he would do it. But he should.
How about this? The secret here says that, what might sway that towards what you're saying, though, Philly, is that they did make a play for Christian McCaffrey last year. That was well known that they made a play for that guy. And hey, look, they let the kid walk out the building, $7 million. Now, to me, like you said, you could actually upgrade the position on a rookie contract, and the 2 things you want in life, to be cheaper and better.
Right.
Right? That move takes care of both those, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it totally does. And then listen to this, right? you have a plethora of picks next year. You have a ton of picks next year. But the consensus is kind of the Eagles are going to retool and revamp that defense over the course of the next 2 years. What better to give your defense some pressure off than an offense that goes out and scores a ton of points and a running back that can basically keep the ball with your offense, keep your defense, keep the pressure off the defense, let those young guys learn, let them play. That's what I think, and then the defense focuses on being more aggressive, being more opportunistic, and I think you win a lot of games. I really think you would win a lot of games that way.
How about this, Philly? Tone just goes like this. Not only if you draft Bijan and you run him into the ground, say you get 4 or 5 years out of the kid, because that looks like what the trademarks are for guys like Todd Gurley, some of these other guys, right, that we've seen come into the league. Zeke Elliott is a great example of that. Not only do you take advantage of him, but then you take advantage of Jalen Hurts as well by having as many gifted guys around him as possible.
Right.
So Bijan gives you 5 years. You win a Super Bowl with that guy and you run his ass into the ground. Everyone goes, that's pretty much the lifeline of what a running back is.
Right. Well, two things I want to add to that, right? Isn't it funny that we talk about the running back is devalued and teams don't give second contracts, yet 3 of the franchise tag players were running backs. So they don't want to give them second contracts, but they need those guys too. And see, I get the idea if you're rebuilding a team and you're high in the draft and it's going to be a few years, you don't take a running back. But when really he's like that last piece to put into a team that's competitive, that's the time you do it, okay? I hear all the time, the Eagles have the best offensive line in football. Why do they need a great running back? They can make good running backs good, like average running backs good. Well, what do you do when you get a great offensive line and you put a great running back behind him? What do you got then? You got something special, right? Didn't Emmitt Smith have a great offensive line? I mean, if you have a chance to give yourself an offense that nobody can even touch, why would you not do it? To me, it makes no sense.
You got something else to think about here. You better take advantage of Jason Kelce and Lane Johnson. Right. I mean, these guys are now starting to get up there in the meter of age, okay? You're going to have those 2 Hall of Fame, first ballot Hall of Famers gone in the next 4 years, and you're going to have to retool those 2 dudes. Plus, you've got a dual threat guy that, to me, you want to get the best out of him now, because 5 years from now, if you continue to beat that guy up, I don't care who he is. He's going to beat Cam Newton or RG3 just because you put the pressure on him. So you've got some. I want to take advantage of Lane, who you just gave the contract extension to, and you brought back Jason Kelce. Doesn't that make the sense why maybe the running back is the pick there?
Yeah, it does. It makes a lot of sense. I believe that if the Eagles took Bijan Robinson and they got him, I believe instantly, without argument, in my opinion, I think they're the best team in the NFC because I don't think anybody can keep up with that offense. They just could not keep up with the offense. You're also talking about a conference that's getting weaker. I mean, you're losing Aaron Rodgers, you're losing Tom Brady. Yeah, the 49ers are a threat, but other than that, who is? So, I mean, to me, that's the move that puts you right back at the forefront of everything, allowing your defense to kind of retool over the next 2 years in the draft because your offense has no weaknesses.
You brought a great point up, too, just to expand on it. With all the new looks on defense, and we don't even know what it's going to look like. How long before we see a defense that resembles? And I'm not saying it's going to equal what they did a year ago, but how long do you think that thing takes? Because, quite frankly, we don't know anything about Sean Desai. He wants to run a third. Get this. His attitude is he wants to run a 34. Shit, dude, you don't have 4 linebackers right now. You don't, and you don't really have the personnel. So, Philly, I mean, that offense is going to have to carry the water a lot more to what you said. But how long will it take before we see something that resembles a defense that could stop people?
I mean, I think that if they play with the players that they have this year, and I don't know what to expect from Desai either, but if they're a little more aggressive, I think they got to be more aggressive create more turnovers. But if they could be opportunistic and aggressive with a really good offense, I think that they'll still win a lot of games, still be one of the best teams in the conference, even though their defense isn't as good. If they draft well over the next 2 years, I think that, by, couple years down the road, I think they could be really good again. But they've got to draft really well,
Here's another thought on Jalen Hurts' contract. And tell me if you subscribe to this.
Okay.
Okay, they're under no obligation, correct, to pay him this year? Zero. They're under zero obligation.
Right.
Don't you think, and this is how he's trend, kind of hitting the deals before they expire. Don't you think going to Jalen Hurts, and I do believe that there's some really good conversations going behind the scenes that I think they're being as transparent with Jalen on what they're doing, on keeping kind of the same way I think Kansas City's transparent with what they're doing. Hey, can you imagine last year, Philly? Hey, look, we're going to let loose a Tyreek Hill. I'm sure that just wasn't something that wasn't discussed with Patrick Mahomes. I mean, look at Green Bay. They have no conversations with Aaron Rodgers. I think Philadelphia does keep this guy in the conversation. Doesn't ask him what he would, but they kind of get an injection from him. So follow me here when you're being that transparent. Don't you think that you would feel, if you were Jalen Hurts, a little more obligated to give the football team a little bit more of a discount because they're going to pay me earlier than, say, next year? And I'm not talking $5-10 million. I'm talking, don't you think that they want to pay you early? How many times have you had your boss come to you and go, hey, that contract you have? We're going to rip it up because you're doing such a great job. Bro, that never happened. That ain't ever happened to Big Sills. I can promise you that.
No.
Okay, so when a company comes to you and says, hey, you did such a great job. We love who you are. We love you're the face of our team. We're going to pay you a year early. Do you think there's a dynamic there between everyone that keeps that thing on track and on the reservation, unlike what you see in Baltimore?
Yeah, I think so. I think so, and I think the Eagles have learned probably from past mistakes with those kind of things. And Jalen Hurts just seems like the kind of guy to me that really wants to win, and he's going to, he's going to get his money, he's going to get paid, but he's also going to balance that with, wanting to put good teams on the field. So I think it'll be something friendly in some sort of way,
How about this one? I said this at the top of the show when we opened. Philly, with that being said, and to expand on that, don't you think there's a number that they're going to throw out there this year because they came early to the table? And if he passes on it, they're going to pass on 2023, and they're going to deal with him in the offseason. And I would say this to you. Here's $48 million.
Mm-hmm.
That's a fair number. It's between Kyler Murray and it's between Aaron Rodgers. It's $48 million. And I'm paying you potentially earlier by negotiating this. Because this is not going to be an open checkbook. This is not going to be that. Jalen's not going to be able to dictate the money when it comes to negotiations. These guys are going to go back and forth. I said it's not going to get ugly. I don't believe it does. I think they're transparent. I think they like each other a lot. And they want to get it. How about this? They want to get to yes. I don't know if Baltimore wants to get to yes with Lamar, and I don't know if Lamar wants to get to yes. But I believe Jalen wants to get to yes. Don't you think there's a number out there, though?
Yeah, I'm sure there's a number. I mean, I don't know what it is, but I expect. I'm sure.
Do you think 48's fair?
I think he's going to want more. I think he's going.
But why would I pay you more a year earlier?
Yeah, well, I mean that's true, but it's a risk on your end. It's a risk because if I go on, well, it's both risks, I guess. But if he goes out and he plays good, and then you have all these other quarterbacks sign contracts, you're going to have to pay him even more money. So yeah, 48 may seem fair because coming a year early, but I don't know that Jalen Hurts is going to look at that contract and say, yeah, you're paying me a year early. I think he's going to look at it like you really got to pay me early or it's too risky. I wouldn't think. I don't think I would look at that as a huge favor the Eagles are doing me, to be honest with you. If it was
That I'm
me.
paying him earlier? I fell into that trap with Wentz.
They paid Wentz a year before. I
right.
believe.
Look how that panned out.
Yeah, well, the guy, you know, he's a little bit of a go-goots, as my dad would say, you know.
But Philly, they did win a Super Bowl with him.
Yeah, well, with Nick Foles.
He put had to add the substitute teacher in there too, right?
Hey, you have to, right? If I'm the Eagles and I'm doing that contract with Wentz, well, you didn't win me the Super Bowl. You know, there's a statue of Nick Foles out there, right? I mean, that has to come up. I do think the Eagles and him will find some sort of balance. I do. You know, Howie's been pretty good with that, and I don't think the Eagles want him going into the last year of his contract, though. I really don't, because I think Jalen Hurts is going to go out and have I think he's going to have just as good, if not better, year. So
with a lesser
I think
team?
Well, the offense is going to still be pretty good, right? I still think you have a good offense.
The offense is the best offense.
So he's still going to put up, I think, big numbers. Now, whether, you know, they score enough points and defense hold up, that's a whole nother question. But I think Hurts is going to do his part offensively for that team.
All right, dude. I got one more for you here.
All right.
Howie Vision. I talked to Tone about this with his snow globe thing and all this. And how do you think your boy's done?
I think he's done all right. I think he's done all right, but I'm waiting for the big one. Like, I think there's a big move. I think he's got a big plan. It could be the draft. It could be Bijan Robinson. There's going to be, I believe, one big impactful move that'll make everything fit. If they wanted to sign,
you know, you freed $10 million up. It's just the perfect number.
Listen, Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry's a monster. I mean, look. I think that you need to address the offense. Like, they really haven't addressed the offense. You know, they got Rashad Penny, and you know he has talent, but he's hurt all the time. You can't possibly tell me that you're going to trust him as your back for the year.
5 years, he's averaged 8 games.
See, this is why I think that there could be a chance with Bijan Robinson.
And get this, he's averaged 8 games and 2 starts.
Yeah. I mean, the guy's, when he plays good, but you can't possibly count on him for a whatchamacallit, right? For a whole year. So I think there's another shoe to drop, and I think it's going to be on the offensive side of the ball. I think they're patching the holes. They're putting a lot of bridge safety, you know, bridge linebacker. I think they're getting guys to get through the year. And I really think that you're going to see a move, and it's going to be an offensive move that's going to take this offense to the next level. And maybe it's Robinson. Maybe it's another slot wide receiver. I don't know, but I feel like there's something how he's holding back on us, man. I believe something's brewing. Something's coming. How about that?
I do want to tell you this, and you know my relationship with the Cowboys. They want Bijan Robinson, or they want Derrick Henry.
Well, they can't have either. You can't have either.
Dude, Cowboys have had a good offseason.
Yeah, I think.
Hey, listen, I know you're throwing up in your mask right now.
I think they've gotten better. I do. I mean, I thought that Stephon Gilmore is a good signing. You know, they got Cooks as a wide receiver. They needed help
and restructured his deal.
Right. So I think they have. I just still don't think they're ready for us yet. But I do. I think. Listen, I think Bijan Robinson is the play here. It just makes too much sense to me on too many levels. The question that I have about it is, can you pull it off by trading the second first-round pick? Like, let's say you at 10 and somehow Jalen Carter falls to you. Then you take that 30th pick, you take that extra second-round pick next year, take another pick, and you try to go up and snag them then. If they could pull that off, something like that, then they're set. I would love it. You know, that's what I'm waiting for.
That's my play. I might even move out of the first round at 10 to pick up either a 1 next year or 2s, 3s this year, because they only have 6 picks. And with that, you get a quality pick and a pick that fits down there at 30, an edge rusher, a defensive tackle. And then you plug holes with 2s, 3s, and then you've got multiple picks. You've got 8, 9 picks instead of 6. Right. and you're
Right.
younger, right? You get younger and cheaper and potentially better. Like
True.
the kid Miles Murphy, and say they take him at 10. Watch this, man. So you take him at 10, then you got Josh Sweat on the other side, and you're praying Jordan Davis play. Look at what you're set up with the next 10 years in youth there, if that thing all pans out.
Right. I know. I know. That's what I'm saying. Howie's got to get creative, because I think if he plays this right, I think he could come out with 2 impact guys right away. And that would be huge. I really wonder what's going to happen with Jalen Carter. Like, is he going to actually possibly fall to 10? Could that actually happen? Because to me, if he falls to 10, you've got to take him. Yeah, you've got to take him. Even if he gets to like 8, I might have to trade up.
Philly,
because he's
the second best player in the draft.
Yeah.
And it's a need for you. Hey, by the way, you think Fletcher has a good year without Javon Hargrave next to him?
I think it'll be similar to the last few years. I think his production will slightly dip, but I still think he'll be there. He'll be effective to whatever level. The question is really Jordan Davis. Jordan Davis has to show us something this year. You can't have a 13th pick overall pick. You can't have him come out and do nothing. He's got to improve. He's got to come in better conditioned. He's got to be on the field, man. He's got to make an impact.
Type in Philly 500. Watch his podcast.
Yes.
He's got a ton of people that watch it, and people here, I know this. They always go, "You see what Philly said, man? Hey, Sileo, you're stealing shit from him. He loves Bijan," and I'm like, "Hey, man, you're right. He did say Bijan first." I go, "Hey, so." You borrow from a friend. Absolutely, man. And you were right. A lot of people love the kid, man. They think he's the 3rd or 5th best player. You've been nails on this guy, man. And if you watch him on tape, he's got a little Reggie Bush to him.
Yeah, I love the kid. I think he's going to be a great player. I like this other guy. I like Gibbs too. I mean, there's other options, but I just look at it and I say, man, I could take this offense to another level with him on this team. Behind that offensive line with those receivers, like, I could take it to another level, and this will help mitigate some of my losses on defense. And I think I can still stay competitive and win.
Look at this. William down here goes, man, damn, how we should talk to these two Gumbas.
Hey,
Pasta Vazul for everyone. Philly, thank you, brother. I appreciate you always finding time. Love you, man. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. That's my boy. Please make sure you type in Philly 500. Go watch his podcast. Big Sil's got to take a timeout. Please hit the like button. I've ranked the top 30 Philadelphia Eagles. I want to do that at the top of the hour. The top 30 Eagles currently on the 22. The starting 22